out of you. Say something else.
That is my answer to Spike Lee. Go to hell.
So tell us about the business part of your life, because you have built from nothing, really, a really substantial business. I mean, we're at the small business conference here.
Imagine this: Tyler Perry, the man behind the beloved Madea character, and Sean Diddy Combs, the music mogul who's been at the center of hip-hop culture for decades, are suddenly linked in a way no one could have ever predicted. Today, we're going to dive deep into their shocking connection, one that's set to shake the entertainment world to its very core. And trust us, by the end of this, you're going to be left questioning everything you thought you knew about these two Hollywood powerhouses.
Took Sean Diddy Combs into custody. He's seen in this video entering the Park Hyatt Hotel in Midtown Manhattan with others when agents from Homeland Security Investigations approach and separate him. They place Combs under arrest and lead him out the front door in handcuffs.
So, here's the real kicker. The FBI has uncovered new evidence that suggests Perry may have been involved in some seriously dark activities at Diddy's infamous parties, the kind of stuff that's been whispered about for years but never really confirmed. And now, as we speak, the authorities are preparing for what could be one of the most high-profile arrests in recent memory. But how did we get here? How did two of the most influential figures in entertainment, known for their wealth, talent, and success, find themselves at the center of what's shaping up to be a massive scandal? Let's rewind a bit. Tyler Perry and Diddy have always moved in similar circles, but to the public eye, they've seemed like two completely different personalities. Perry's brand has largely been rooted in wholesome family entertainment, with Christian values often woven into the fabric of his films and TV shows. Diddy, on the other hand, has always been known for his high-energy lifestyle, his larger-than-life persona, and his parties that have become the stuff of legend. But as it turns out, there's a lot more to their relationship than meets the eye.
The man has a huge audience, and Tyler's very smart. You know what he's done. He started out, with these plays and...
For years, rumors have swirled around Diddy's exclusive gatherings, the kind of parties where only the elite were invited, and where the rules of ordinary life seemed not to apply. These events were reportedly filled with lavish excess, and while many people in Hollywood have attended them, few have ever spoken publicly about what really goes on behind those closed doors. That's where Tyler Perry comes in. According to the latest reports, Perry wasn't just a casual attendee at these gatherings. He was allegedly a regular, and his presence at these events is now raising serious questions.
These are all allegations that have become shockingly familiar against Diddy in recent months, as he has faced lawsuit after lawsuit from women and men who have accused him of all manner.
What's even more shocking is that some of the victims from these parties have come forward, pointing the finger at both Perry and Diddy. These individuals claim that they were manipulated, coerced, and silenced by the immense power these two men wield in the industry. And here's the thing, this isn't just tabloid gossip. The FBI has reportedly been investigating this connection for months, and it seems like they've uncovered enough evidence to possibly take action against Perry soon. The fact that law enforcement is involved adds a whole new layer of credibility to the situation, making it clear that this is no longer just a Hollywood rumor mill. But how did someone like Perry, who's built a career on representing goodness and morality, get caught up in such a disturbing web?
And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact, Jay.
One theory that's been floating around is that Perry's relationship with Diddy goes much deeper than just a few social events. Some insiders suggest that the two have been collaborating on projects behind the scenes, and that Perry may have relied on Diddy's connections to help boost his own influence in Hollywood. After all, Diddy has long been known as a kingmaker in the entertainment world, and aligning with him could have opened doors for Perry that might not have been accessible otherwise. But as these collaborations reportedly grew more frequent, so did Perry's involvement in Diddy's world of excess.
There has been some updates in the Diddy $100 million default judgment that we reported on.
And let's not forget the timeline here. Perry has been churning out content at an almost superhuman pace, often bragging about how he writes all of his TV shows and movies by himself, without the help of a writer's room. It's no secret that Perry's work ethic is extraordinary, but could there be more to it than just hard work? Some have speculated that Perry's need to stay in control of his projects is tied to his desire to keep certain aspects of his life hidden. By maintaining full creative control, Perry ensures that no one else is in a position to dig too deeply into his personal affairs, especially if they're as intertwined with Diddy's world as some people are now claiming.
But I still think a lot of stuff that's on today is coonery and buffoonery.
The real bombshell here is how these two men use their power and influence to allegedly keep people quiet. According to several sources, both Perry and Diddy have been accused of using their status to silence potential whistleblowers, ensuring that no one would dare expose what was really happening behind the scenes. One writer, Terry Brown Jackson, who worked on Perry's hit show House of Pain, has spoken out about feeling used and discarded after she and other writers were fired for requesting union contracts. And remember, that wasn't just a one-off incident. Perry's disdain for unionized writers and his decision to take full control of his scripts could be seen as part of a larger pattern, a man who doesn't want anyone else knowing too much about how he operates.
You know, I think in federal court and for these charges, they would say it's routine, but in the public realm, this is very significant, just from who we associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from, I mean, we saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to being in a jail.
But it gets even murkier. A new documentary titled Maxine's Monster: Surviving Tyler Perry is reportedly in the works, and it's set to expose some of the most damning allegations against Perry to date. While Perry has been quick to try and shut the production down, even hiring some of the best lawyers in the world to do so, the fact that such a documentary even exists speaks volumes about the growing scrutiny surrounding him. The title itself is a play on Perry's own documentary, Maxine's Child, the Tyler Perry story, which was meant to paint him as a self-made success. But now, with Maxine's Monster on the horizon, it seems like his carefully curated image is starting to crack. One of the most concerning aspects of this whole situation is how the victims have been treated. Many of them have come forward anonymously, fearing retaliation from two of the most powerful men in entertainment. And it's not hard to see why. When you're going up against someone with the kind of resources and connections that Perry and Diddy have, it's easy to feel like your voice doesn't matter. In fact, one victim who spoke out against Diddy in the past claimed that she was blacklisted from the industry after refusing to stay silent. If this is how whistleblowers have been treated in the past, it's no wonder that so many others have remained in the shadows, too scared to speak up about what they've experienced.
I had clients describe NBC as hell, as the worst conditions they've been in.
But now the tides are turning. With the FBI reportedly closing in on Perry and more victims finding the courage to come forward, it feels like we're on the brink of a major reckoning in Hollywood. The entertainment industry has long been a place where power dynamics are skewed in favor of the rich and famous. But the times are changing. In a post-Me Too world, more and more people are demanding accountability from those in positions of power, and it seems like Perry and Diddy are about to face the consequences of their actions.
Basically what that means is the money that they're saying Diddy has to start paying this guy on October 1st, right. Diddy's team is like, hold on, we need an emergency conversation about why this should not have been granted. And they awarded him a TRO, which basically meant that Diddy's team was not allowed to sell any property in that state or anything related to what could be used to pay the plaintiff.
Of course, this scandal doesn't just affect Perry and Diddy. The ripple effects are being felt throughout Hollywood, with other high-profile figures distancing themselves from the two men in an attempt to avoid getting caught up in the fallout. Some of Perry's closest collaborators have reportedly stopped returning his calls, while Diddy's business ventures are starting to feel the strain of the negative press. And it's not just about the immediate consequences for these two. The broader question is how the scandal will change the entertainment industry as a whole. Will it force other powerful figures to rethink how they wield their influence? Will it lead to more transparency and accountability in Hollywood?
Special housing unit is a 24-hour lockdown unit, which means that any movement within that unit is controlled and coordinated, and no inmate moves outside of his cell without being in full restraints, to include leg irons, handcuffs, a belly chain, and at least 2, if not 3 staff members escorting them.
The fact that Perry and Diddy have managed to maintain their positions of power for so long, despite the whispers and rumors that have followed them, speaks to the deeply entrenched culture of silence in the industry. For years, people have turned a blind eye to the excesses and abuses of power in Hollywood. But with each new revelation, it becomes harder and harder to ignore. The entertainment world is built on image and reputation, and as more cracks appear in the facades of its biggest stars, the more difficult it becomes to maintain the illusion of perfection.
The evidence, alleged evidence, that's been gathered in this case was from those 2 raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles. And the indictment names the things seized that he allegedly made videos of these performances that have been named for.
So what comes next? With the FBI reportedly preparing to make a move, and more victims ready to tell their stories, it seems like we're on the verge of a major turning point. The truth is starting to come out, and once it does, there's no going back. For Tyler Perry, the man who once seemed untouchable, this could be the beginning of the end. And for Diddy, whose parties have long been the stuff of legend, this scandal could mark the fall of an empire. But before we get into the legal battles and accusations that are about to unfold, let's take a moment to consider one last thing. How did we get here? How did two men who seemingly had it all, the fame, the fortune, the adoration of millions, find themselves at the center of such a dark and twisted scandal? The answer might lie in the very nature of power itself. When you're at the top, it's easy to believe you're untouchable. But as we've seen time and time again, no one is above the law.
Does he have a shot? I think his attorneys raised some good arguments.
I think they raise good arguments as well. Maybe this will be third time's the charm, because the difference between this bail motion and the prior two is that this one really does get to the heart of what the court was concerned about, which was witness intimidation.
Now that we've laid the groundwork for this explosive story, let's dive into the heart of the drama, the accusations, the mounting legal battles, and the intricate web of manipulation and influence that Tyler Perry and Diddy seem to have spun around themselves. This story is a lot darker than anyone could have imagined, and it's not just about wild parties or whispered rumors anymore. It's about control, power, and the lengths these two men allegedly went to in order to protect their empires from crumbling.
Those situations lend to maybe some issues with tampering. And I do feel like there are victims who are scared to come forward, including my client. She was very nervous about if he was going to get bail this week. And once I told her, and then come after people, including her and some of the other individuals. And she was very relieved when he did not receive.
So where does it all begin? Well, the first major cracks in the facade began to appear when victims started coming forward, not just about Diddy's notorious gatherings, but about Perry's involvement too. It wasn't long before these whispers turned into full-blown accusations, with people claiming that both Perry and Diddy had used their influence to manipulate and exploit others. And while Diddy's parties had long been the subject of rumors, it was the revelation that Perry was a regular participant that really sent shockwaves through the industry. Let's start with the key accusations. According to insiders, Perry wasn't just a passive observer at these events. Multiple sources have claimed that he played an active role in the power dynamics at play, and some of the victims have even alleged that he was directly involved in coercing individuals into compromising situations. And what's even more disturbing is how far these men allegedly went to cover their tracks. Remember how Perry famously took full control of his writing process, boasting that he doesn't use a writer's room? Some believe this was all part of a larger strategy to keep certain people from getting too close to his inner circle, a way to maintain full control and prevent any leaks about what was really going on behind the scenes.
As you all know, I made a request today for what we were calling a gag order, and I'm not going to walk out of court and do anything other than...
But the accusations don't stop with coercion. Legal documents that have recently surfaced suggest that Perry and Diddy may have used their wealth and power to intimidate potential whistleblowers. One victim, whose identity has been kept anonymous for fear of retaliation, claims that after she tried to speak out about what she endured, she was met with threats and blacklisted from the industry. This isn't an isolated incident either. Several other individuals have come forward with similar stories, alleging that they were pressured into silence by both Perry and Diddy, who used their vast influence to ensure that nobody would believe them if they spoke out. And this brings us to the legal proceedings. As of now, both Perry and Diddy are facing a slew of lawsuits, many of which allege a pattern of abuse, manipulation, and cover-ups that span years. The FBI is reportedly involved, and there's even talk of a potential high-profile arrest in the near future. But what exactly are these men being accused of? Let's break it down.
There are some problems that the defense has brought up originally, but it seems like, just from reading this 14-page indictment, that there is enough physical evidence to perhaps get a conviction in this case. We shall see.
First, there's the issue of the infamous gatherings. While Diddy has long been known for his extravagant lifestyle, it's the darker side of these events that's now coming to light. According to court documents, these weren't just your typical Hollywood parties. The accusations suggest that attendees were often pressured into participating in activities they weren't comfortable with, and those who resisted were reportedly blacklisted or worse. And while Diddy has always been at the center of these rumors, it's Perry's involvement that's truly shocking. For someone who has built a career on promoting family values and Christian morals, the idea that he could be involved in such activities is almost unfathomable. One of the key pieces of evidence in the ongoing investigation involves testimonies from former employees of both Perry and Diddy, many of whom have provided detailed accounts of what they witnessed at these events. One former staff member, who worked at Perry's Atlanta-based studio, claims that she was instructed to remain silent about certain VIP guests who attended private after-parties hosted by Perry himself. She alleges that these events often took place late at night, behind closed doors, and that attendees were required to sign non-disclosure agreements before being allowed to enter. While the exact nature of these gatherings remains unclear, it's enough to suggest that there was something happening behind the scenes that Perry didn't want the public to know about.
This has to be a 100% culture shock. I can't imagine living a lifestyle of the incredibly rich and famous and then going into this very dark, impersonal, cold, austere facility.
And then there's the issue of power structures. Both Perry and Diddy have long been at the top of their respective industries, and with that power comes the ability to control narratives, silence critics, and protect themselves from scrutiny. But according to the legal documents, both men allegedly used their influence in Hollywood to manipulate those around them, particularly those who were less powerful. One source claims that Perry had a tight grip on his employees, many of whom were reportedly afraid to speak out for fear of losing their jobs or being blacklisted from the industry altogether. This is a sentiment echoed by several other individuals who have spoken out against Diddy, alleging that he used similar tactics to keep people in line.
Because I think, we have seen many photos, videos of Sean Combs, aka Diddy, through the Associated Press, through Instagram. And so to see him kind of in person after being in jail for 3 weeks now was pretty interesting, to say the least. And I say that by being that you would expect him to feel a little defeated, a little gaunt, anything like that. But it wasn't that case. He appeared confident. He stood tall. But
perhaps the most damning aspect of this entire scandal is the revelation of hidden informants and witnesses who are now coming forward to expose the truth. According to reports, several individuals who were once close to Perry and Diddy have decided to break their silence, providing crucial information that could blow this case wide open. One such informant, who worked as part of Diddy's inner circle for over a decade, claims that he witnessed firsthand the manipulation and coercion that took place at these events. He alleges that both Perry and Diddy were deeply involved in orchestrating these gatherings, and that they used their power to control those around them. This informant's testimony could be key in the ongoing investigation, and it's already sent shockwaves through the industry.
So I think they're just throwing stuff at the wall and hoping that it sticks, because they know that their client is guilty, and they're just trying to do the best that they can with a guilty client.
But why are these informants coming forward now after all these years? Some believe it's because the tide in Hollywood is finally turning. In the wake of the Me Too movement, more and more people are finding the courage to speak out against those in positions of power, and it seems like Perry and Diddy are no longer untouchable. Additionally, the FBI has reportedly been working closely with these informants, offering them protection in exchange for their cooperation. This has given them the security they need to share their stories without fear of retaliation.
Trying a criminal case in the modern times, a lot of evidence is on electronic devices, cell phone, tablets, computers, things of that nature. And the devices, especially if you have like external hard drives, 90-something terabytes of data on a single device makes me think it's some type of hard drive. That takes weeks to go through just for one device on its own.
As more and more details emerge, it's becoming clear that this isn't just a case of a few bad decisions or unfortunate misunderstandings. The accusations against Perry and Diddy suggest a deeply entrenched culture of abuse and exploitation, one that has been allowed to flourish for far too long. And while both men have denied any wrongdoing, the evidence is starting to pile up, and it's not looking good.
Diddy has been under criminal investigation for months by federal prosecutors here in New York. And if there are criminal charges, many of them may look a lot like what some of these individuals have been describing.
But what's even more concerning is the broader implications of this scandal. Hollywood has always been a place where power dynamics are skewed in favor of the elite, but this case could potentially expose just how deep those power structures go. If the accusations against Perry and Diddy are proven to be true, it could have far-reaching consequences for the entire entertainment industry. It could lead to a reckoning for other powerful figures who have used their influence to exploit others, and it could force Hollywood to finally confront its long-standing issues with abuse and manipulation. One of the most telling aspects of this case is how Perry and Diddy have reportedly tried to distance themselves from the growing scandal. According to insiders, both men have been scrambling behind the scenes to protect their reputations, with Perry even going so far as to hire a team of high-powered lawyers to try and shut down the documentary Maxine's Monster, Surviving Tyler Perry. This documentary, which is set to expose some of the most damning allegations against Perry, has already become a major point of contention, with Perry's legal team reportedly threatening to sue anyone involved in its production. But despite these efforts, the documentary is moving forward, and it's likely to reveal even more shocking details about Perry's involvement in the scandal.
About anything that I haven't said in court or in the papers, these are all great questions. but I'm just not going to get into it. So
can you speak about your concerns about the leak and the video? You have spoken about that before.
I did it in the court papers, and I'm just going to stick to the court papers. As you guys all know, let me just finish. As you all know, I made a request today for what we were calling a gag order, and I'm not going to walk out of court and do anything other than live up to that. So,
as for Diddy, he's been doing his best to maintain a low profile, avoiding public appearances, and staying out of the spotlight as much as possible. But with the FBI reportedly closing in, it's only a matter of time before both men are forced to face the consequences of their actions. And while they may have been able to silence their critics in the past, it seems like this time the truth is finally catching up with them. So what happens next? With the legal proceedings well underway and more victims coming forward every day, it's clear that this scandal is far from over. In fact, it seems like we're only just beginning to scratch the surface of what could be one of the biggest stories to ever hit Hollywood. And as the investigation continues, we can expect even more shocking revelations to come to light. But here's the real question. Will Hollywood finally hold these men accountable? Or will they be able to use their power and resources to escape the consequences once again? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure, this scandal has already left an indelible mark on the entertainment industry, and it's not going away anytime soon. As we wrap up this chapter of the story, it's clear that the accusations against Perry and Diddy have opened up a Pandora's box of secrets, lies, and manipulation, and the full extent of their actions may never truly be known. But one thing is certain, the truth is starting to come out, and no matter how hard they try to stop it, there's no turning back now. As the curtain begins to lift on this shocking scandal involving Perry and Diddy, viewers are left to ponder the implications of such grave allegations. Will this be the moment Hollywood finally confronts its culture of silence and abuse? Or will the powerful manage to evade justice once again? How do you feel about the ongoing investigations and the potential consequences for these two titans of entertainment? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Goodbye.